Well, folks, it appears that undocumented immigrants, birthright citizens, liberals, the media, federal employees, non-billionaires, Social Security, SNAP, and Medicaid recipients aren't the only ones panicking and reeling from the uncertainty sparked by Donald Trump's head-spinning series of new executive orders, ICE raids, and complete disarray for the fuck of it. No, folks, according to a new bombshell report from Politico, these shockwaves have pierced their way right through the walls of the Pentagon with the force of a ballistic missile or a silent but deadly discharge from Trump's derriere.
President Donald Trump exercising the power of the pen. So look at this partial list of just some of his executive orders driving the conversation today: ending diversity initiatives, determining policy for transgender service members, potentially teeing up an all-out ban, and developing an American Iron Dome.
And just wait till you hear the specific domino that seemingly started this toppling cascade of confusion that Trump has wrought, because not only is it moronic, it's apparently so disorienting for military officials and has gotten so bad that instead of getting direct communication, the Pentagon is actually working off of leaks, as we'll see, and trying to turn those into useful national security information. You know, because nothing screams America first like crippling our national security infrastructure and personnel because the commander-in-chief is too dumb, old, and incompetent to do anything right. Really trying to keep this one light, but it's actually terrifying. So let's break down this latest debacle at the Pentagon and why Army officials are setting off alarm bells about Trump's deranged defense derailment. According to the report from Politico, the Army rushed to satisfy President Donald Trump's executive orders this week, sparking so much confusion that top officials directed a halt on new contracts and then walked it back, which was just the latest muddled response to a series of chaotic actions by the White House. Apparently, top officials misinterpreted Trump's order on diversity, equity, and inclusion and set an Army freeze on deals for new weapons. Then the Pentagon clarified on Tuesday that it wasn't going to issue a pause, and the move upended the defense industry and signaled a broader uncertainty around the president's sweeping actions. And in a rather nice way to put something so terrifying, Politico reports it also reinforced the challenges to Trump's quick decision approach to governance, such as recent orders to freeze certain federal funding and foreign military aid that has sent agencies scrambling. And that tension is particularly acute at the Pentagon, where questions about the impact of Trump's executive orders threaten to slow down high-dollar programs and rock the defense industry, which garnered this reassuring response from one former military official and current senior fellow at the Center for a New American Security, who posed the question, what kind of signal does this send to the defense industrial base, which is already plagued with a number of challenges? But get ready, because as bleak as that may already sound, the details paint an even more disturbing picture. Firstly, you had Pete Hegseth going full 1984 on his first day on the job, which I can only assume is a repercussion of his forced feigned sobriety, where he said this.
And today, there are more executive orders coming that we fully support on removing DEI inside the Pentagon, reinstating troops who were pushed out because of COVID mandates, Iron Dome for America. This is happening quickly, and as the Secretary of Defense, it's an honor to salute smartly. The lawful orders of the President of the United States will be executed inside this Defense Department swiftly and without excuse.
Right, but apparently attempting to execute orders as quickly as you shotgun a beer has some pretty bad consequences when it comes to national security. Case in point right here, quote, it was not communicated to us directly, it was leaked to us. A defense industry executive granted anonymity to discuss this sensitive matter said about the ordeal. We are interpolating based on memos that are government to government and attempting to turn that into useful information. Even the site Breaking Defense reported on the chaos with the reassuring headline, what the f*** is going on? Confusion, uncertainty in industry as Army contracts seemingly halted. But here's where things get even worse, and where we get that pesky little domino I mentioned earlier that is emblematic of the dystopian level of incompetent irony here. Because a defense industry executive told Politico that a pause on Army contracts could carry damning effects for the industry. Quote, at a time when China is publicly announcing the acquisition of 1 million low-cost drones, for us to be essentially kneecapping ourselves at the moment, Goodness gracious! Going on to add many of the companies in new and innovative spaces on the bleeding edge, it's a huge gut punch to all of those. And an email sent out by the Army, which operates off a budget of nearly $186 billion annually, informed recipients, "We are working with leadership to get additional direction as to the time frame and may come back to you for impacts to your mission following Trump's order last week on DEI programs."
Now, specifically to those DEI initiatives and that ban, here's the president calling those diversity and equity policies nonsense. Listen.
I order the end to all of the lawless diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense policies across the government and all across the private sector and the military. We got it. We're getting it out, and we've gotten it out pretty much. The United States has become a meritocracy again. We are a country that's based now on merit for success. Merit.
Yeah, we can't even talk about the irony of the guy who got millions of dollars from his daddy-o talking about how America is a meritocracy now. Because his dumbass single-handedly kneecapped the military-industrial complex by trying to end DEI and wokeness in the military. Unease surrounding the scope of Trump's order, including around big personnel changes, is adding to the chaotic situation, one defense official told Politico. And the report also added that the Air Force walked back decisions this week, including removing a training that mentioned the Tuskegee Airmen, a group of black pilots who fought in World War II. Some Pentagon officials were apparently worried that actions explicitly mentioning race could run afoul of the White House's stance denouncing woke diversity initiatives.
No, this is absolutely a sea change on DEI. His executive orders on day one and day two do a couple things. One, they rescind all of Biden's executive orders entrenching DEI into bureaucracy. But what happened last night was even more significant. His executive order actually instructs his administration to investigate corporations, schools, and universities for practicing DEI. And it says if you're practicing illegal and discriminatory DEI in the private sector and you receive federal funds, you'll be under investigation. You'll pay a huge price. This is sending shockwaves through virtually every major institution in the country. We should be always skeptical, but in this instance, Trump is the real deal. He is changing the country very, very quickly.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but boy, does this seem like a pretty pristine way to kneecap the biggest military in the world and sow chaos so you can implant loyalists, muddy the waters, get rid of any dissent, and help smooth your facilitation of the government to direct fascism. So thank you all who are watching for actually giving a shit. And we will continue to report on this stuff and call it out, as depressing as it may be. But this is textbook, folks. History repeating itself. And hopefully, maybe this will get out to some corner of the MAGA sphere where they can see not only is Trump screwing them over economically with his immigration policies and DEI ending wokeness that directly affects veterans, women, people who voted for him. Hell, Chip and I both made videos yesterday about MAGA idiots f***ing around and finding out. But this is a crazy and rapid amount of chaos to be sowing within the ranks of the Pentagon at an incredibly precarious point in the world writ large. So again, thank you for watching. Drop a like and subscribe if you give a shit. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse, and I'll see you all in the next one.